Hi, and welcome to The Other Side of Paradise, a series of short stories and radio plays by JP Paradise. Each episode may make you smile, it may make you think, but it will have you coming back for more. There's comedy, there's drama, and a little of everything in between. Whatever your taste, there should be something for you to enjoy. Please note that each episode may contain strong language, very dark humour, and themes of an adult nature. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, let us entertain you for a few minutes. Sit back, relax, and lose yourself in this episode. Music is the Brandy of the damned.
I loathe shopping. I especially loathe shopping on a cold, wet Saturday morning in December when the world and his wife have the same idea. My wife thought it was a great time to go. "No one will be out in this," she said. Clearly, this statement had been made in every household for miles around. The entire populations of local villages and the suburbs seemed to have poured into the town centre. Queuing in traffic all the way back from the edge of town should have given us ample warning that this was a bad idea. There'd been a tense 35 minutes trying to find somewhere to park, 34 of which we spent bickering. We eventually parked in a street half a mile from the centre, which meant walking through the rain. This just made the arguing louder as we shouted over the wind and each other. In town, we fought our way through the crowds as we navigated our way from shop to shop. This did nothing to improve the atmosphere between us, and I sensed the brink of divorce edging closer. The better half, seeing the way things were going, dismissed me from duty and told me to be back at the car by 2. To be honest, this shopping malarkey had been my idea of hell on earth, so I was glad to turn my back on it and head somewhere quiet for a pint and a look at the crossword. I was tired, chilled to the marrow, suffering from post-shopping stress disorder, and badly needed a drink. The crowds receded as I headed away from the centre, and I didn't really have a destination in mind, just one of those quaint little pubs you find down back streets. And then I came to an abrupt halt. You know those moments when you're so familiar with a place that you could navigate it blindfold, but then you notice something you've never seen before and can't understand how you missed it? Well, I was having one of those moments. It was called the Faustian Pact, a tiny public house squeezed between the pet shop and the funeral director. I must have walked the street 100 times or more, yet this was the first time I'd noticed it. It nestled almost invisibly between the other properties, yet had the timeless appearance of always having been there. A sign swung silently in the wind, its paint faded but not peeling, an image of an old man grinning slyly as he proffered a scribbled parchment and a quill. The windows were of leaded glass, marbled and distorted, behind which a faint warm glow invited one to enter. I shivered. I needed the warmth. I pushed the heavy black door open and stepped inside. It was darker than I expected. One of those oldie-worldy pubs, all wood nooks and snugs. A fire blazed in the hearth. Weak lamps glowed from behind stained shades. I was the only customer that I could see, which surprised me. It had the appearance of a locals' pub, as if it should be half full of old men bent over their pints and papers, the kind of place that falls silent when a stranger walks in. It was intensely quiet. I made my way to the bar. There were a couple of draught beer tap handles, the brass and wood tarnished with use, pump clips proudly declaring their wares. There were none of the usual keg taps or widget devices for ultra-cold stout or any of the other gadgets that adorn the bars of modern pubs. Behind the bar were a couple of shelves groaning under the weight of old bottles. A thick layer of dust coating shelves and bottles alike. Dark glass and faded labels on the bottles made it impossible to identify the contents. There were no optics, no chiller cabinets full of Alco Pops or overpriced water. There were no crisps or nuts, not even pork scratchings. I wasn't sure if I'd stepped back in time or straight onto a film set. And then, in the words of Mr. Ben, As if by magic, the shopkeeper appeared, or rather the barman. At one moment he hadn't been there, the next he was. I nearly jumped out of my skin, but the barman didn't seem to notice. "What can I do for you, sir?" he inquired in a mellow voice. He was of an indeterminate age, probably younger than he looked, but older than one imagined. He'd noticeably receding grey hair, a white beard without moustache, a nose large and pinched, and eyes that seemed more alive than they had any right to be. He smiled politely. The room temperature was perfect, but I was still chilled from outside. A cold pint seemed less appealing than it had earlier. "To be honest, I could do with something hot and alcoholic," I replied. "An Irish coffee, perhaps? Guess I'm pushing my luck with mulled wine." "I believe I have something that will do the trick very nicely, sir." "Oh, great. What is it?" The barman looked at me for a few seconds, taking stock of me. "Though I'm not sure it's for you, sir." "I'm sorry, what do you mean it's not for me?" "It's a drink with a heavy price," he replied, looking grave. This guy had strange ideas about sales patter. "I assure you I can pay whatever you charge." "Is that why no one else is in here? They can't afford your prices?" I said sharply. "Oh, they come, they go. Some can afford it, many can't. This is much, much more than a drink. It's a life experience," he answered, still regarding me with those eyes that seemed to be lit from within. "Sounds like utter horse crap to me," I snapped. "Marketing BS from some hipster brewery." "Not at all, sir. This is a drink that could change your life." "What utter tosh," I barked. The barman ignored me and continued. "In unexpected ways. Sometimes for good, often for bad. It depends on what you're willing to give for it." "Look, mate, it's a horrible day out there and I'm in need of a pick-me-up. I don't care what it costs," I replied, slapping a tenner on the bar. "I'd happily sell my soul to Satan if it gets rid of this damn chill." "Selling your soul. An extreme measure deserves an extreme measure," the barman said, staring into my eyes. "Are you really sure about that? You can still change your mind." "Oh, yeah, whatever." I was getting impatient now and incredibly irritable. I could see why I'd never seen this place listed in the Good Beer Guide. The service sucked. "It's just words." "Words, words, they are all we have to go on," the barman responded. "Oh, that sounds familiar," I murmured, unable to place where I'd exactly heard the phrase. "Is sir's mind made up? An ultimate price for an ultimate drink?" "Oh, yes, get on with it." The barman leaned towards me. "Maybe this quote will be familiar to you as well. There must have been a moment at the beginning where we could have said no, but somehow we missed it." "Oh, Rosengill," I fired back, feeling smug. "Indeed. Remember that. It may be prescient," the barman responded, looking serious. He turned, took a bottle from the lower shelf, eased out the stopper with an audible pop, and poured a small measure into a shot glass. He placed the glass on the counter and pushed it towards me, but didn't take his hand away. "A word to the wise, sir. I have warned you that this will be like no other drink you've had before. Savour it. It's something not to be rushed." Now, I like to think I'm a man of the world. I mean, I've tried drinks with worms in, drinks with scorpions in, drinks with reptiles in, drinks that have been served on fire, drinks that have your stomach screaming for mercy. I seriously doubted the barman's claim, but I held my tongue and pushed my tenner towards him. He released the glass and I picked it up, inspecting the contents. It was colourless, yet seemed to shimmer and shift in what light there was. I sniffed it, odourless. I put it to my lips. "Careful now, sir," the barman warned. "Salamen miseris socios abuisse dolores." "What?" I queried. "It's a comfort to the wretched to have companions in misery," came the reply. I snorted, knocked it back in one and braced myself for the shock. Well, there was none. It tasted of nothing. I would have said I'd just downed a shot of water, but the texture was all wrong. It was thick and syrupy, flowed like liquid velvet, and seemed as non-alcoholic a drink as one could get. I was about to have a go at the barman and ask him what he was playing at when it started. The warmth began in the pit of my stomach and spread rapidly outwards. I could feel it rising up through my chest and down into my legs. It spread out along my outstretched arms as I held my hands up in front of me, staring at my fingers, as though I could see the heat physically travelling through each of them in turn. My feet, which normally go cold in November and don't warm up again until April, now felt positively toasty. I began to say to the barman how amazing it was, but he just raised a finger to his lips and bade me be silent. And then the music started. At first I couldn't work out where it was coming from. I'd not noticed a jukebox, or no music had been playing when I came in. There was no radio or CD player behind the bar, at least not one that I could see. The barman smiled benignly, and I realised that the music was coming from within me. I don't know how, but it seemed to course through me. It was not so much that I could hear the music as that I could feel it. I was the music. It was my blood, my breath, and such music. It was like nothing I'd ever heard before. It was as though the entire output of all the great composers had been woven together, sung by the angelic host and distilled into a liquor. I had no idea how much a measure of this stuff cost, but I immediately wanted more. I pulled out another tenner and slapped it down on the bar, despite the first one still lying there. The barman shook his head. "You have already paid, sir. Enjoy the moment." I was enjoying the moment, and I did not want it to stop. I could already feel the music starting to fade and the warmth retreating back towards my core. "Again," I said, waggling the glass at him. His apparent good humour slipped momentarily, and a worried look crossed his face before the smile reappeared. Very well, sir. You've already paid more than most men are willing to give, but I must warn you, this will be it. The drink is more powerful than absinthe and more addictive than opium." "What is it?" I demanded. "Aqua vitae," he replied. "Brandy distilled from the devil's own cellar." Well, great strapline was all I could muster in response. He poured another measure, and this time I could hear it sing as it flowed. I tipped it straight back. The effect was instant this time. I felt like one of those ready-brek kids, but one that was standing in the middle of all the world's most renowned orchestras and choirs, all playing and singing in unison and perfect harmony. "More!" I demanded, throwing a 20 on the counter. The barman shook his head. "I'm afraid to say you've had enough, sir. I did say it is very addictive, and I've told you that you have already paid." "If I've paid, then give me more!" I yelled, enraged. "Sir, this is a very special drink. I cannot permit you to abuse it like this. There are consequences." "How much do you want?" I snarled, emptying my wallet, including credit cards, into a small pile. I threw in my car keys for good measure. The wife would kill me, but we could always get another car. I wasn't sure how we'd get home, but to be honest, I wasn't thinking straight. "Is this enough?" "You're not listening, sir." Damn right I wasn't. I was focused on that feeling, that music, and nothing was going to get in the way. For good or bad, there are consequences, and you have paid the price for it. "Oh, just give me the bottle," I snapped, leaning over the bar and snatching it from him. "I reckon this lot covers it," and I gestured to the pile of cash and cards and keys. The barman reached for the bottle, but I turned away from him, dispensed with the niceties of a glass, and drank directly from the bottle. I felt euphoric. I swigged again. I was alive, delirious with pleasure. I raised the bottle once more. A drop or two fell onto my tongue, but no more. Another. I clutched the bottle by the neck and waved it aggressively at the barman. "There is no more, sir." He came round from behind the bar and took me gently by the arm and tried to guide me towards a seat. I resisted. He looked by turns frightened, sad and disappointed, as though I'd let him down somehow. "Another!" All reason had left me now, and I smashed the bottle on the edge of the bar and waved it at him menacingly. I tell you, sir, there is no more. You have drunk the last I have. I gave you a measure because you appear to be in need. Oh, bollocks! I grabbed him by the neck, the jagged bottle stump held under his chin. Which? I nodded towards the other bottles on the shelves. Sir, you don't understand. You've drunk the last bottle in existence. There is no more for now. My hand squeezed tightly against his throat, making him gasp and choke. Liar! I bellowed and pushed him savagely away. He tumbled backwards. There was a sickening thud as he hit the floor, but I ignored it, hurried behind the bar and turned my attention to the shelves. I pulled a bottle down, yanked out the stopper and took a gulp. I coughed and spat. Now, God damn it, just whiskey. I tried another and another. They were just spirits, each fouler than the last. The recipe, I growled, pulling another bottle down. What's the recipe? There was no reply. I glanced around. The barman lay immobile, a dark stain spreading out across the polished floorboards from the back of his head. He was very, very dead. There was no warmth seeping through me now, no music. I felt cold, colder than I'd ever known. I panicked and rushed for the door, pulling it open and diving outside. Except I was not in the street as I'd expected. I was back in the bar. I heard the door slam behind me. I turned, yanked the door open and went through into the bar again. I could feel the horror and dread creeping through me, the sweating, the fear, the cold. I ran across the room, vaulted the counter and plunged through a back door. I was back where I'd started. And then, again as if by magic, the barman was standing there, this time laughing at me from behind the counter. I looked down. The body still lay there. I looked back at the figure behind the bar. It was, without doubt, the same man. Terrified, I rushed around, trying any door I came across. Each deposited me back into the middle of the room, the body at my feet and the barman laughing at me. And then the music started. It was as though every child who tried to learn an instrument, the recorder, the violin, the piano, the trumpet, every teenager who rebelled by picking up a guitar or hitting the skins, every adult who responded to a midlife crisis by telling themselves they were the very essence of jazz, yes, all those devoid of any talent or ability, all playing a chaotic symphony, each of them out of time, out of key, without any emotion or feeling. It was just the music, me, the body, and the laughing barman. And I realized where I was. And I knew this time the music would never stop.
That was Music is the Brandy of the Damned by JP Paradise, performed by Steve C. Walters. It was recorded at Elm Grove Studio, Wiltshire. All music, production and editing by Alex Brunsdon. The Other Side of Paradise theme music written and performed by Alex Brunsdon. This episode is a The Other Side of Paradise production 2026. All copyright held by the author. If you enjoyed this episode, why not like and subscribe to receive notifications about new episodes, available wherever you get your podcasts. If you really, really enjoyed it, why not give us a review and share the podcast with your friends, family, and complete strangers? And most of all, thank you for listening.